Welcome to our most recent episode of OPS Unfiltered. Today, I have an awesome guest, Tanner Chatterley.
Cheers.
Cheers, Gorilla Mine. Cheers.
Let's go.
It's your first time. Nootropic infused energy drinks, Gorilla Mine. Shout out. If you're on NetSuite, come talk to us. We can cut costs. Tanner is the CEO of OrderProtection.com. I'm really excited to dive into his journey on his path to become CEO of a SaaS business here in Utah. So Tanner and I have become friends behind the scenes, and I'm excited to dive into his story today. Hopefully you guys can learn some stuff about business and the complexity and troubles of running a VC-funded startup. What's your experience? Why are you in the e-commerce order protection space? How'd you get there?
Yeah. So I feel like I've told this story probably like 100 times now. But like every single time there's like new details because like crazy shit just keeps happening all the time. So actually I graduated from BYU-Idaho 5 years ago, and that's where I met my wife, right? Like the classic BYU story where you're like, hey, I go junior year, got married, we got pregnant right away. My wife was 9 months pregnant.
There we go.
At graduation. So we left to Utah to join Route, actually. So Route's some of who we compete with now in the space.
What year was
This was 2019. So I joined in the summer of 2019. So 5 plus years ago now. When Route was really small, there was probably like 25 employees, 30 employees, something like that. And I started as a CSM, so customer success manager. So just right away was just like out of the gates, didn't really know what I wanted to do. After graduating, I studied marketing as my undergrad, and then just kind of like found this knack for like business intelligence. It was like, okay, this is something I'm super interested in. I did a internship at Tableau in Seattle for a summer when I first got married to my wife, and I started using that tool, and I was like, man, this is cool. I like the data side as it kind of like relates to solving problems, like having the visibility to like go and tackle some challenges. And then on the CSM side, I was like, okay, I was talking to, Route was so popular at the time.
Yeah, what
it
a
was
freaking
like,
rocket ship at
it
that
was
time.
insane. It was insane. So we were just onboarding so many customers.
Route, they're just like shipping protection that you enable on your cart of an e-commerce company. And it's like, it was like $2 or how much?
Yeah, it was 98 cents.
98
cents for pretty much everyone that was on. This was 2019 when 98 cents went a little bit farther than it does in 2024. So
yeah, talk about product market fit. Jeez,
the timing was insane because obviously the following year was COVID.
Well, I remember I was CEO of a brand during that time, and the value add was so straightforward. It's like, hey, you want to increase cart conversion and put an extra $2 million to your bottom line? Like, yeah, that's it. that was the pitch. It was like, yeah,
let's do it.
And you click a button and it installs.
And it's there. Yeah, they did a great job. Especially early on. It was like the timing of everything was crazy. The product was so basic to start, but to your point, it was like product market fit was already kind of established, and we were onboarding hundreds of customers probably per month. It was insane, right? Because to your point, it's like adding an app on your phone, right? You just go to the Shopify App Store, you install it, pretty easy to set up, really light offering, right? And I was there for 2.5 years. Like I said, started when we were probably just doing a couple million in revenue, and then left when there's 420 employees, and I think Route was doing like 50 mil in ARR.
That's insane.
In like 2.5 years, it was crazy. So tons of traction. But yeah, I heard and understood a lot of things from customers, right? They were just like, hey, this is either great, this isn't great, this is what's working well, this is what's not working well. So I just chatted with a bunch of customers, and then left Route to actually join the founder of Redo, Taylor Brown, and things didn't work out there. It was like too early, I think, for me to start. And obviously Redo's taken off. Yeah. They're killing it. Now we compete with Route and Redo. It's just the best of both, all three worlds now that we're in. So I've been in the space for about 5 years now. So after that, I took a brief stint kind of out of e-com at a company called Omni, which sold to JP Morgan for a huge amount of money.
Wow.
Because they were, I don't take any credit for that. I was like there for like 7 months. Just like a good landing spot. And then I knew I wanted to get back in e-com. So when the opportunity was right, I knew that if I was given that opportunity that I could definitely like impact some change here. And then the co-founder of OrderProtection, Matt LaFront, hit me up when there was just a couple contracted employees at OrderProtection and just a handful of customers. And then, we've taken it quite a bit away since then, and now want to do things differently, right?
Okay.
So we kind of have a different roadmap, different vision for the product, things like that.
So first question, what's the difference between, because especially in Utah, I see the main players. It's like Route, Redo now. They've emerged, and then Order Protection, then probably Ship Insure maybe. What's the difference between you and those three?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us is we've pretty much built a CRM for shipping related issues. So fulfillment, we're soon to be tapping into like WMS software as well, because we've built kind of like this open API framework type CRM. So we connect to your help desk, we connect to your subscription platforms, we connect to anywhere where like order and fulfillment data
you're
is populated.
You're gonna be connecting to WMS. How are you gonna connect to WMS? That's like super relevant for us.
Through TrackStar.
Oh, we already integrate to
So
TrackStar.
that's the plan. We haven't done it yet.
Wait, are you gonna be able to just auto generate a return and deplete it from inventory? That's we've been wanting that.
That's right. So
I've been wanting that.
So we're doing it. We're doing
Okay,
it.
all right.
It's going to be a combined thing. So the whole play for order section is essentially we want to automate a lot of that journey for the end consumer. So we will identify through fulfillment events.
Massive pain point on the inventory side, and none of those platforms, Route, even Ship Insure, they don't really care about it.
So we want to be more predictive, right? So if we determine based on someone's tracking information that order is never going to show up to them, and if it meets the policy that our brands create within our platform, so that's another big differentiator between Order Protection and our competitors, is that you can completely one-off customize your policy, the actual insurance policy, for both the end consumer in terms of like when they can file claims, certain indicators of, okay, if this order is stuck in transit for 5 days or 3 days, whatever the case may be, you can customize kind of the risk tolerance that Order Protection will take on the brand side. And then for the end consumer side, getting pretty predictive in terms of, hey, if we determine it meets our policy of it's stuck in transit for 3 days, I'm actually going to generate a reshipment order without the customer even having to file a claim to Order Protection.
Okay.
Right? Or generate an in-store credit one-time discount code or gift card that will hit their email with a message from Order Protection saying, hey, we've determined that your order is likely never going to arrive to you. And based on the policy that the brand has with Order Protection as a provider, we're giving you this in-store credit to go and shop. Right? So that's kind of like the ultimate experience for the end consumer. In our mind is having that predictive, like, okay, hey, I don't have to wait for my order to never show up and file a claim and have to wait for some type of customer interaction with one of these other providers. We're just going to, because we're the ones ensuring that, we're just going to ship that store credit gift card to you.
Dude, and if on the inventory side, if you're taking care of the inventory depletions and additions automatically through TrackStar, that makes it where like, I'm just going to refer everybody to you.
Yeah.
Because like, that comes up with every single one of our implementations. Okay, so how do you guys handle returns? And it's like, well, which of the 17 platforms do you use?
Yeah.
Because they're. So if you guys do that through TrackStar, like it is such an easy push for us. Like, use Order Protection, it'll all be automated.
Well, one thing that we run into on the inventory side is when we start talking to some of these, global brands, they don't store their inventory in one system, right? They might keep warranty inventory. So if you have a warranty claim that comes through whatever system you're using, they might store their inventory outside of Shopify for inventory related to warranties or claims, whatever the case may be. Or if you run out of stock, what's the process, right? So we're very much fundamentally, we have the platform, we know what we do best, which is shipping insurance, and then how do we connect our partners like Luminous and Parcel Lab and Rebuy and others that specialize in other things, but cohesively bring the whole picture together through our integrations, through our API framework and webhooks, basically.
Okay, really cool. A follow-up question. There's two types of, if I had to generalize, two types of SaaS companies. So there's SaaS companies that have extremely high barriers of entry to start doing business, aka Luminous.
Yes.
Like,
One of the highest, I would say. You guys are one of the highest that I've come across.
Yeah.
Very hard to do.
And then you have businesses where very low barrier to entry to get
100%.
an MVP and start selling it.
100%.
I know what it feels like on this side. It's a totally different set of challenges on the side of a product that's relatively easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
It turns into branding and partnerships and your go-to-market strategy. How has it been running the latter company? Something that's like the tech isn't overly complicated. You can get sales quick, but then you have to differentiate and be better than everybody.
And retain. Yeah.
And retain. How have you been able to retain and grow a simple product and make it not so simple? Like find your
how do you basically build the moat around your business is essentially what you're asking.
Yeah.
Because the barrier to entry is incredibly low, especially for Shopify, right? Like I'm told of probably a new competitor entering the space on Shopify probably once a month. Like it is so incredibly easy to start something like this, right? Where like what I would call our competition, us at the beginning of this, is more of a tech-enabled service, right? You throw this widget on checkout, right? You can service kind of like this portal that customers can basically view what you're doing, but it is a service, right? I run a 24/7 support team that resolves claims. When a claim is resolved, though, that's kind of like once I have someone assess a ticket within our CRM that's a shipping-related ticket, there's a financial decision that's tied to that ticket every single time for order protection. Whereas if it's a brand, they get, especially some of the bigger ones that we service, they get 30, 40,000 tickets per month. Not all of those are financial decisions, but you're essentially leaving the decision up to a customer service rep to make on a consistent basis for your business, which impacts your bottom line, right? So how do we take the financial aspect of the shipping insurance offering that everyone's doing, and how do we make that a more aligned decision with your financial team, your ops team, people running the warehouse and checking inventory and picking, packing? How do we give them all visibility into these decisions, and how do we basically clean up a lot of what's happening in terms of like mispicks, wrong items being sent to the end consumer, right? Like all of these impact that consumer journey.
So you're trying to address the core issue, which is it's not a widget that protects orders. It's like it's
shipping.
Order issues, shipping issues specifically.
It's shipping issues. Yeah, so that's our biggest thing, right? So to answer your question directly, the way that we're doing this is basically creating a more sophisticated platform that is integrated and ingesting data from all of your systems to help you make a financial decision for that end consumer. So the barrier to entry, it's very competitive, right? Like you saw Rita's announcement.
Yeah.
Everyone did, right? Like good for them, right? Sick what they're doing. But what I see is we're in a race to the bottom. Like quite honestly, if you don't know it and you just dumped a shit ton of cash into this particular space, you've got to have a foolproof plan, because it is a race to the bottom in terms of who can give away the most margin to the brand and still operate a successful company.
Yep.
Right? Because we have revenue shares, right? We do revenue shares with all of our partners. And essentially when a new entrant enters the market, that is the only lever they have to pull, because they don't have any of the technology yet. Right?
Yep.
And there's the ones that react to that the most are SMB customers on Shopify, where they're like, hey, I will take a watered down version of all 3 or 4 of these products that might not communicate the best between each other, but if it's free and I can make a little bit of money, then I'm going to take it, right? Whereas the more sophisticated companies are looking for the best product. They still care about a revenue share, right? Like how is this an equal partnership? But at the end of the day, they want the best product and they want it to communicate directly with the different technology platforms they're using, right? And that's where we're positioned not to service kind of the long tail of Shopify. That's, Route's got 13,000 plus customers. They've grown like crazy, but what we care about most is What is our relationship with our brand partners? And are we solving more than just a kind of minute problem?
Yeah. I think going into the partnership side, I think something that can be really differentiated is you're doing this thing called like the homie tech stack.
Yeah.
Which I think is really smart, because if you can get in with somebody like Luminous or Gorgeous or like have your go-tos, then all of a sudden you're just part of a much bigger ecosystem, and everything just works better when order protection is in.
I mean, you think about Luminous, right? I come to your office. If you come to my office, it's like I've got 23, 24 employees, right? Like, I don't know how many employees Luminous has at this point now, but it's
20-ish.
Like, yeah, same range, right? Like, and we're competing against teams of, 80 to 100 sales reps, right? Like, so how am I supposed to compete against that? Like, the resources that we have versus our competition is just wildly skewed, right? So how do the Davids of the world, right? I made that comment about you when you came on the podcast yesterday, because I'm like, dude, you're trying to take down Oracle. Like, you're trying to take down Microsoft, right? Like, how do we compete with these incumbents? It's by specializing and then finding the right partners to basically distribute our product through their bigger teams. So we might go and partner with the Goliaths, right? That service a different part of the post-purchase experience, that have access to a wealth of customers, a wealth of information and data that I don't have access to, right? So that's how we do it. Is like the homie tech stack. It's a fun way to say like our preferred partners. We're just homies, dude. We're all servicing the same people. Why don't we go about it in a more unison way, as opposed to saying, hey, you know what? For my own sake and my own benefit, I'm going to build out all these products that everyone does and have one app to rule them all. I remember a company called ClickUp, and they raised like $400 million like during the height of COVID. So much money. And that was like their tagline. I have never seen a company do that well outside of like Microsoft. Microsoft does it through acquisition, right? And distribution channels. For us, it's that same approach. How do I make my one sales rep feel like 5? And it's through plugging in the right partners, the right people at the right time.
Yeah, no, I love it. Going back to Route a little bit, with your experience at Route and what we've seen. So Route, I believe they just did a down round technically. What is something they didn't do to differentiate and solidify their foothold on the market?
That's a great question. So, and this is public information. We're being sued by Route, and I think I shared that with you.
Yeah.
So I'll be careful, and great people there. I met some great people, and obviously very successful business. One thing that I believe is my own personal opinion, they stopped listening to their customers pretty early on in the process. And the reason being is because Route, and if you have the Route mobile app or whatever on your phone, like they went down kind of like, hey, we want to be a mobile app.
So that's the big bet that they took.
They took a big bet, and it wasn't
data infused with the mobile app.
That's right.
For the consumer.
Yeah, kind of more of like we want to create like this shopping experience where you can see and discover all these products across the world through our mobile app, right? Like, so the whole mantra was like tracking, right? Like you can track all your orders in one place. You've seen the billboards on the I-15.
Yeah.
And then once we have these end consumers in the mobile app, how do we sell them other products from the D2C ecosystem? It's basically like Shop from Shopify.
Yeah.
Very similar. So they competed directly there, and they said, it's kind of like, I remember being at an all hands one day, and there is very little talk about shipping insurance. We were talking about all these other things that didn't make any revenue for the business. And I was like, I think this is not going to be great. So I was like, that's when I was like, I need to go see what else the market has and what we can build.
What is the lesson that you learned that you're now taking to order protection from what you saw Route do?
Yeah, the biggest lesson from that is to just communicate often with your customers. And honestly, it's such a generic answer, but very few people actually, like I pick up the phone. My customers either call me every day or I call them every day. We have a conversation. It's not like I'm specifically saying like, hey, I'm going to set up 30 minutes of time with you. and we're going to talk about like what features you want us to build. Literally just talk to your customers. Doesn't even have to be about anything work related, product related. Just talk to them often. The concerns that they see about your current offering and things that they anticipate that you will eventually lead to building will come out in natural conversations. And it's a good thing you like to talk to people, Jared, and that you do stuff like this. You're a charismatic, personal dude. You will, if you haven't already, you're incredibly sharp, obviously, but it's like, if you haven't already, it's like you will find those things very consistently just come out of the woodwork when you're just having conversations. But that's the biggest thing is ask the right questions, and you just have to, and from a prospect too. So I would say, listen, ask your customers questions, listen, and then the people that you want to be your customers, go and find what their biggest problem is that you can solve with what you're currently offering today. And then from that, you'll find the gaps and develop what you need to develop on the product side to go and fill those gaps. All I do personally now as CEO is, how do I find the biggest brands and solve their biggest CX or shipping related problem?
So if you had to encapsulate everything in one sentence, what value does order protection provide to brands? So
the biggest value, and it's one sentence, I've probably rattled this off a few times, but we decrease customer service costs while enhancing the end consumer experience. So typically those don't go hand in hand, right? Because if you typically need to deploy more resources, hire more people if you're going to provide really fast response times, and AFRT's got to be low, and resolving a claim, there's typically back and forth with the carrier and the customer. We take that entire experience and condense it down so that your end consumer is getting a resolution to a claim, which is a financial decision made by OrderProtection, in an hour or less.
And do other competitors not prioritize that as well as you generally?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So it's truly like you are their team and you care so much that you're going to respond way faster and make sure everything gets taken care of.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we completely white label our service for a lot of brands, so they don't even know that order protection exists in that claim filing experience. That was never like a cool thing. Like at Route, it was like one of our biggest things at one of our all hands was like, Route's got to be a household name. Like we want everyone to know the brand, right? And I was like, dude, I'm a shipping insurance company. I don't have a brand, dude. Yeah, the name of the company is OrderProtection.com.
If everybody thinks you're just the brand, like
they praise the brand. Yeah. And they're like, dude, this is sick. This experience has been great.
You're $1 billion company.
For sure. For sure. So that was the biggest thing, right? It was like, how do we become a utility for our brands, right? And it's funny because it's like what I just described to you can be and is already a commodity, right? You can only offer the best experience at the quickest. Like people are just going to get faster and faster in those responses and those resolution times, right? Like we're working on automating probably 50% of our tickets in the next 3 months, right? Because Q4 comes and we get a shit ton of claims. And it's like, okay, I can staff up my team a little bit more, or I can automate 50% of my claims that are fulfillment-related claims that I already have all the data for.
That could be such a differentiation if you guys go for an A/B round, building software around like this concept of like you are an outsourced CX team for hundreds of brands, and that's where the secret sauce can be.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so the kind of. And I won't give up too much of the secret sauce because we have, like I said, I was like, I think our product roadmap and vision is unique because I don't do it anymore at all, honestly, because I have people on my team that are much smarter than me and better than me at running analytics and stuff. But it's like I have a lot of that background where I like to see what's happening. I want the visibility. And that is something that you can bring under one hood, right? And like bring all together. Everyone's like, hey, I have to offer all these different products and value streams. But what they don't understand is the hidden cost of maintaining all of these different value streams, right? And as you move up market to where the money is, it just gets harder and harder because these customers that you're going to be servicing up market which is why everyone kind of hangs out in the same area in my space, which is like SMB mid-market, is because they don't need a lot of like customized solutions, right? But once you get like the Gaps of the world or like the H&Ms or, you know, these publicly traded companies, it's like, dude, they need very custom solutions just for what we do today, right? Which is just shipping insurance and a few other things I won't allude to. But and so that's where it's like our biggest partners and champions of order protection are like, we can do anything for them, right? Because the platform we built is supportive of their growth, right? It's not supportive of my growth as order protection. Like, oh, this platform is going to take me to $100 million of ARR. It's like, no, this will support our brands better than anything else in the market.
I'm inspired by your story of, what's a good metaphor? It's like the guy who never wanted to be the chosen one, but had to step up as the chosen one. So at Order Protection, obviously there was a lot of drama that went down.
Yes.
You were head of revenue. Some shit went down.
Which head of revenue at an early stage company means like you have like
You're an account manager.
You have sales, two sales reps. I'm selling order protection.
Exactly. You're just selling. Yeah. So you go from just selling order protection. You're not the founder. And some shit goes down, and
a lot of shit.
A lot of shit goes down, and you become the CEO. Like, you were really reluctant to step into that. What were you thinking during that time when the board sort of pinged you and they're like, hey, can you step up? What was going through your head?
My heart was pounding on my chest. Because I think I shared this with you, there was 2 different occasions before I accepted the call to basically do what I needed to do in order for the company to survive. And I said no the first 2 times because I was like, hey, like this is probably too much for me, right? Like, this is a lot what you're asking me. There's no benefits at the time. There's no benefits to taking on all that responsibility, stress, anxiety, and accountability. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to pay you a lot more money, or hey, we're going to guarantee you're going to get a shit ton of equity. It was just like, this will die. Right? Like, we were probably 2 months away from running out of money after having raised a year prior, less than a year. It was less than a year. Yeah. 10 months prior.
So you got 2 months left. At one point you're just selling order protection, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey.
And by that time I had a team of 20 people because we hired a ton, right? Like, you raise VC money, you hire a ton of people hoping that revenue is going to catch up, and that burn will come down. But that wasn't the case. It wasn't happening. We made some decisions early on, right? Leadership decisions and personnel decisions, and it just wasn't clicking. It came to the point where it's like, you know, obviously there was like, the business was being abused in a couple different ways, and they're like, we need you to take over. What's crazy is when you come into a business, I was just telling my executive team about this yesterday. When you come into a business, you have to prove your value right away. You got to prove it fast if you want to stay there. And if you want to be the best, you've got to continuously prove that. A lot of people will prove their value early on, and then they'll turn off the jets, right? They'll take their foot off the gas, and it's like, cool, I can get comfortable now because I proved my value. Our board dynamics have changed probably on 4 different occasions now. You have to constantly prove your value and your worth. I was okay doing that, whereas a lot of people would not have been comfortable with, okay, hey, you know, I've done all these things that have shown that I'm worth my value that I provide. And then new people just coming in, it was like constantly I had to get better. I had to do more.
That's what a true founder is. Something that I've experienced with Luminous is like, with every phase of the business, you have to evolve into you have to become a new person. Like pre-seed, I was doing everything.
Yeah.
I was doing everything. I got the first 5 clients on, holding them on with my bare hands.
Yeah.
I'm the product manager for everything. That, you know, bring on a co-founder, CTO. Like, okay, next stage is like the seed stage where, okay, like CTO is taking over a lot of the product stuff, but now it's like selling direct selling and implementation. Like
Yeah.
then going into this phase, I'm having to evolve in a go-to-market specialist. And yeah, you have to.
It's evolution, right?
You have, and as soon as you stop evolving, the business stops evolving.
Correct.
You stop growing. I totally agree with that. Sounds like you're a founder at heart. You're an entrepreneur at heart.
That's right, man. We just finished some fundraising, and we're able to put some of our own money into the business, right? Because we've spoken to a ton of investors, and these particular ones that we partnered with were like, you're not a founder unless you write a check. Right. So it's like I had my whole executive team. I chatted with everyone on my executive team. I was like, we're all writing our own checks and we're all putting money in during this round so that we're all bought in. Right. So we're all completely bought in. We got skin in the game. And so it's like, so when the competition, because there's so much of it, come to the table, it's like we're all fucking ready to go. Right. Like we're all in the trenches. Right. My VP of engineering is our best engineer. By far. I mean, like he's heads down grinding, right? Your CEO is selling your biggest deals, right? Your VP of sales holds a quota, just like his reps do. Your head of CS is resolving claims, right? Like you have this, your head of product is writing SQL queries, right? So it's like you have this mentality that we will not lose, right? Like we will be the best. And it's fun because, like, as you know, the incumbents fall asleep.
They do.
Right? They fall asleep. They get lulled to sleep because there's so much success there or money, VC, whatever. And so there's still so much opportunity. You just have to go take it.
I love that, man. You totally turned it around, and I have so much respect for you because of that.
Man. Likewise, dude. What you've done is insane.
I relate to that so much. That's how I run the team at Luminous. Is like, sure, we have heads of departments, like, marketing, a CTO, but like everybody is getting their hands dirty.
Yeah.
And we're VC funded, but we're super capital efficient.
Mm-hmm.
We treat it as a war chest. Like once we've proved some things, then now we have money to like put gas on it. Everybody comes to Luminous to take a massive pay cut and to get equity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of equity. Because I have the exact same belief. If we're going to beat NetSuite, you got to come to Luminous for the right reasons. You got to come here. You got to be making $150K over there and come make 50 over here,
mm-hmm.
but a lot of equity.
Yeah.
And that's how I know you're coming here for the right reason.
For sure.
And that's how we're going to win.
Yeah.
It's not just me that's bought it. Like everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's cool, man. It's not like when you're at a big company that's a rocket ship, everyone's just like drinking the Kool-Aid. And you're like, I got to the point where I was like, man,
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, dude, I'm almost through this. This actually helps quite a bit. I've been dialed. I'm taking a case back with me. Shout out Gorilla Mind. But yeah, you get to a point where it's like, everyone's sipping this Kool-Aid and you're like, man, this is too sweet for me. The Kool-Aid's too sweet. You're like, some's not right here. Right? Like you get a little like suspicious. Right. So, but yeah, at this stage, right, like the people that are like, quote unquote, drinking the Kool-Aid, it's like, no, it's like we're mixing our own Kool-Aid, right? Like this is like everyone's got their hands in it. Everyone's, pitching in where they can. And you guys go out to lunch on Thursdays together. It's like I make sure that like I had a mission president actually who was some executive at ExxonMobil and had to go out to Nigeria to live out there for like 5 years. And one of the biggest things he was like, I literally just put people that worked in different departments and I sat them with each other. They've never talked to each other. They work on different ends of the business. And I sat them with each other and so many problems were solved by just coming together from different departments, even at the stage of company that we are, and just sharing a meal together. It's a team, man. It's a team sport. So yeah, it's just one of those things I fully believe in, which is like the relationships I have with my employees, coworkers, whatever we call them, right? Our team. It's like, dude, you see these people more than you see anyone else, right? We talked about this yesterday too. You're like, my question to you was, what hobbies did you have to give up and what friendships, right? Because it's like, you give up everything to do this and you better make it worth it in the end, right? And you form new relationships, new friendships, but you make a ton of sacrifice to turn something that was in such a bad position like order protection was, a year and a half ago to what it is today, through, our lawsuit and through people within the business, through investors that ended up not doing the right thing at times or just blatantly lying and doing bad things, right? To what it is today. And it's a testament to our customers first and foremost, and then the team. So,
well, massive respect, man.
Thanks, dude.
To close out, where can everybody find you?
Just LinkedIn, dude. I post on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn whore now.
Yeah.
Wait,
LinkedIn
that's it's just one of those things, dude. It's like, I think Adam
platform.
Robinson from retention.com.
He started it all.
He started it all, man. One day we saw that, and we were paying a bunch of money in like paid ads and stuff, and we're like, this doesn't work. And so then we started doing the OP show and these things, and it's so much more personal.
Starting content in your go-to-market, like the OP show, how's that performed for order protection? How's
It's great.
You guys?
It's great. Like, I mean, that in combination with what we call like our OP champions, which are like our biggest advocates that are willing to jump on a call or be a reference, whatever the case may be. That in tandem is incredible, right? Because you have, I always say in the mouth of two or three, right? It's one thing to hear it from your CEO. It's one thing to hear it from a sales guy within order section, but then you have real life customers trying to solve the same problem.
Yeah.
And the OP show, the content that comes from it, it's so natural to just say, hey, come out, let's have you on the OP show, right? Like, and just prefacing, I'll talk to you about business after, but like, I just want to get to know you, right? That's the whole part about the OB show.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic from like an ROI standpoint. I'm sure the same for you guys as well.
Yeah. Well, I love it, man. You're such a genuine guy. Tanner Chatterley, OrderProtection.com.
Go look it up.
On LinkedIn.
That's right.